What's up, guys? Welcome back for another D&D tools video. Yes, I know it's another map making program. I'm sorry, I use too many. I make maps. Okay, it's Wonderdraft, right? Wonderdraft. I did a dungeon draft video. That's, guessed it, for dungeons, right? What do you think Wonderdraft is for? It's for making wonders. No, okay, that was a bad joke. It's for making world and region maps. Yeah, there we go. I'm just gonna start us off with paper. I'll go through some of this shit when I'm in there. 1080 by 1080, big old square, perfect. So similar to Dungeon Draft, this has a generation feature which can get you started with your map. It's super useful if you're just getting started, or if you don't really care what the shape of your world is, if there's no specific geography that you really need to put in at the start. I'm just going to hit that generation. There's different options. If you start with uniform, it's going to give you this nice kind of let's change the water quick so you can. I always do that first. I need to change the water. So when you go to theme, you can mix and match the items from the theme. So I like the water from the imagination. I'm going to go to imagination. I'm going to uncheck all these. I'm going to choose water texture, and I'm going to hit apply. See, my dumbass thought this was the water because of how the paper map was built. This makes it much, much better. So now when we generate, we'll be able to see the water. It's going to give us some just randomly generated like the continents or islands or regions, whatever you want. You can change the water level. So if it's just truly going to be an island, you can take the water level up and just get that little bit if you want, or you can just, just a tiny, tiny bit of water. I kind of like the look of that, honestly. I almost want to keep that, but no, I need to show you the other options. So when you go continent, it's going to give you a full water boundary around the whole thing. So if you do have a true continent, you're making a world map, this is probably what you're going to want to use for your continents, because it is a continent. Again, you can change the water level if that's just too much water. You can take the water level down to the minimum and get much more land. Or again, if it's just a series of islands, that's pretty cool for a map, honestly. You can change the detail as well. That doesn't do really too much, except for when you're generating, it just adds a little more stuff around, like little different patches of land. And roughness is the edge. So put the roughness all the way up. That makes it just super, super jagged. With max detail, max roughness, you get all these little kind of ugly bits. I usually turn roughness down. I keep detail at 2, just to get much more basic shapes out of it. I prefer that a lot. I can come back and fine tune that later. Lastly, there's a few ones in here. I guess I'll show a quick archipelago. It's a series of islands. If you don't know what an archipelago is, atoll, it's a nice ring shaped landmass here. Equirectangular. I don't use this. I don't, to be honest, don't know what it does. One I do use is world. This generates a few different continents, a few different land masses. When you put the water level up, it can separate your land masses like this. And you keep generating. You maybe put up more detail if it's a world map. You can see what I'm gonna do here. But what I'm gonna actually do is I'm gonna go to uniform. I'm gonna generate, find one I like, and show you the brushes, the tools, and all that. Right. So I settled on this ending here. We get a little bay of water, and we can play around. I'll show you first what these two tools on the left side here, this little up arrow and the down arrow. I use these to fine tune my land because this just raises the level of the land itself. So I just take my brush size and go all the way up, and it just colors in any water that may have made it inland. I don't need any water features here. I may add a river later, but I don't need anything there. And what I'm gonna do is take it down with the little islands. You can use a mouse wheel to scroll down, change the brush size, and get rid of little unnecessary bits there. So what I don't like about the paper is the options for ground coloring. I like obviously you can have a gray map like that. There's nothing wrong with it. or a paper colored map. But I like just a little bit of color to show what the color of the landscape is going to be in my maps. So I'm going to go back up here to theme again. I'm going to select, I leave the ground texture because I like the ground texture itself, but the ground color palette, that I'm going to change to Terra. I'm going to hit apply. And that gives us just preset a bunch of like grass options. I'm going to take my brush all the way up again, full opacity. I'm going to fill this in with grass just so I get some color in my map. One more thing I want to do is I want to take it starts you with some kind of weird outline options for the land. I'm going to take that down. So you go to water and it's this coastline outline. I'm just going to take that all the way down. The coastal FX distance. That changes that. And that's perfectly fine with me. Now what we can do is I'm just going to start putting some symbols down as for what we might have around here. Let's go and get symbols. There's 3 different sections that you mainly use. It's mountain, trees, and other symbols, city symbols, that kind of stuff. It starts me off with a bridge. I'm going to choose the mountains. And I'm going to take our mountains up in scale here. Let's grab a different, bigger mountain. Perfect. Because I think just to border this map, I think we're going to have some mountains over here. Just a nice mountain range. If you notice, not every sticker it's putting down is the same. It will automatically rotate through symbols. So it's not just painting the same thing over and over again. So let's get that up in the corner here. This is just going to be a super rough draft to show you the features. I don't know how this is going to look by the end specifically, but I would imagine I'd spend a little bit more time if I was actually going to use this map for my game. But I'm just, showing it off. I'm going to now take it down to hills so that we can transition into less. Okay, I need less density of these. Transition into less extreme altitudes here. So paint along the edge here. I'm going to take our scale down again and the placement density down again. And we're going to come down here and do that. Now, I think it's probably going to be forested here. I'm obviously going to have, this is just dying to have a city here. I grab just these first starter symbols right here are perfect for me. I use this one for the capital. So let's put a nice big circle there with the star for the capital city. And then major cities, I'll probably put down with these. So I'll probably have one there. Probably have one here. We'll probably have one here, in fact. Just a little bit too far to build a bridge or anything like that. And then smaller villages, I usually put small dots down. Maybe we have a couple along the coast. Maybe we have one in the mountains. And that's good for now. You get the idea. Trees, lots of good tree options as well. I usually grab just this little guy, and then I just paint like crazy. But if I'm gonna have a forest, I'm gonna have forest kind of come out of this area over here. Much denser forest than that. Maybe on this left side, it's super like plateau sandy. So what I can do is I'm gonna go back to the land. I'm gonna grab my brush. I'm gonna grab the lighter savanna grass, and I'm gonna lower my brush. I'm just gonna paint this whole thing over here, the savanna grass, and then I'm gonna grab the forest grass that's a little bit darker. I'm gonna go. Oops, I meant to change the opacity first because it's a bit of a kick in the ass if you don't. So now over on this side that we got that done, I'm gonna go to symbols again. In trees, there's this little. It's just called inked tall grass. There's also marshy grass and playful grass. There's just little grass, and you think, what will this scribble do for me? I mean, I was surprised when I first used it. Let me just show you what it does. I'm just gonna put it down here. More placement density. More grass. And look at that. You see, it adds texture. It adds a 3D element to just the flat space, because we're probably going to have flat space here. because you're not going to want too much stuff because we're going to put some paths down. So that's going to fill that space a little bit. But this big empty swath where there's no paths or roads, then you're going to run into a little bit of trouble. In fact, I'm actually going to take this out so that I can keep filling the grass down here. And it can just be full on savanna biome down there. Next, I am going to go, you go to paths. You take this little button, it's got the quill, because that's what you're going to draw. And you choose a path that you like. I'm going to go with the, what should I do? I think I'm going to go with the brick type path. So it's all going to come together. So I'm going to click where I want it to start. Click where I want it to go. You can change the size. So I'm going to leave it about that size. And then I'm going to make branching paths. I'm going to have my roughness go a little bit more. So over a distance, you see how it automatically starts to curve and bend like a road might do over time, or if it's going around obstacles or something like that. So we're going to have it follow the coastline here. I'm just clicking anywhere I want it to have a set point. And then it is going to do the rest. Sometimes I have to get a little short and then click again if it's doing something wonky, but like this, it's getting a little wonky. Let me just take the roughness down and then we'll make that corner a lot better. And we're just going to follow. It's going to be one main road going around this outside. Double click to finish. There we go. We're going to have a road that connects from here to there as well, so they don't have to go all the way down to that junction to hit the road. And we'll probably have a main arterial that just goes here as well. And you know what I said earlier about having a river? Let's do that so I can show you a little bit with the water brush. And instead of using the lake tool or the river tool, I'm going to grab the land tool again, go to this lower elevation, and I'm just going to bring it right through here. So where should we have? It's going to be flowing probably from the mountains, right? So like, let's have a nice thin river kind of curve this way. Maybe that river goes along the road. And then maybe at that junction, there's a bridge. So we come and we bring this right down there. That makes sure you keeps the water the same as the rest of your water here. Last thing I'll show off is the labeling tool. It's got a built-in name generator. So I'm just going to literally click here. It's called label. I'm going to take it to the name generator. I'm just going to click on this a few times. And I'm going to call that good. Copper Glade. Position it up right there. Next, I'm only going to name the large cities. So we're going to do this one. Heavy View. Sure. Whatever you like, game. Whatever you like. Tell me what the names are. I don't have to. Label. Roll the settlement. Pewter Break. Love Pewter Break. It's my favorite capital city in the whole world. Put that there. So we got one more. And that is going to be Warm Shade. Obviously, you can make your own, but I'm just going to leave it at that for now because it's just a basic overview. So this is a nice Wonderdraft map done in, 20 minutes, and that's with explanation. So, I mean, you can throw together something pretty quickly. This program's $25 online, and there's a ton of free assets you can add to it. Extremely powerful tool for world map making. If you're not using Incarnate, if you need something a little bit more flushed out, a little bit more dedicated to the map making process, it's going to be Wonderdraft, I think. I use this for all of my world maps. My region maps, my city maps, I will go to a different program sometimes. This is harder to get the finer, smaller details. But when you're building something large, this is the way I go. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure to stick around, like and subscribe to the video. I'll be posting more D&D content as well as gaming, Starfield commentary content coming up. Thanks again for watching. You guys have a great day.